Hey everybody, welcome back to Beautiful You. I have two friends who have lost someone very, very, very close to them. One lost their father, and the other lost one of their best friends. And both of them are dealing with a lot of guilt, remorse, um, and blame of themselves. They are both blaming themselves. And so I wanted to talk about that today because I try and be very organic with the things that I talk to you about, things that I think about, things that are brought to me in my own life. And so I just feel that those are the best things to talk about because they come straight from the heart. And sometimes I've tried to make videos. I thought I was going to make videos like at least 5 days a week. But there are a couple times lately I've tried to make a video and I wasn't inspired, I guess, is the right way to say it. And I couldn't really make anything worth putting out here and asking you to take your time to listen to. So today I had two, not just today, but over the last few days, that thing happened twice. And I've been there where, so what happened is someone passes. In one case, someone passed and the person left behind hadn't been able to talk to that person in a very long time and felt that if they just regretted the way the relationship was. They regretted how they hadn't talked much, even though there was really not much that the person left behind could have done about it. It was just a situation and the way it was. And we can only change our own circumstances. We can't change other people. And oftentimes other people do influence a lot what happens to us because of things that they choose to do themselves, right? So, but that doesn't take away the fact that my friend feels extra sadness. And when we're sad and hurt, we want to lash out and hurt others. Oftentimes, we end up hurting ourselves because we can't bear the thought of hurting someone else. It's not that we sit around and think about all this and plan it out, but I think that's what happens. We can't bear the thought of hurting someone else, and we want to hurt something, and so we end up hurting ourselves. And so we blame ourselves, we beat ourselves up, we think of all these things we coulda, woulda, shoulda done and that we didn't do, and then beat ourselves up for that. But no amount of beating is going to bring back the person. It's not going to change the circumstances. So, and I'll do some other videos. I've written some notes, and I'll do some other videos about forgiveness of yourself and of others, but in particular yourself, which I have already talked about that some as well. But I'll make sure that the new video I do doesn't have anything about that I had already talked about in the old video. But it's just very important to not allow guilt or remorse to take you over. The other person that I spoke about earlier lost his dad, and he didn't know his dad was going to pass. I mean, we never do, of course, but he hadn't been sick. He went in the hospital all of a sudden. The hospital thought they did everything they could. They tried everything they could think of. They really thought that my friend's dad was doing better, but he took a turn for the worse, and he ended up passing. And my friend wanted to go there and be with him. It was far away, and my friend owns a business, and so and has commitments in his life that he just couldn't pick up and go immediately like that. And so, and it has to do with, it has to do with something that you can't just walk away from. It's not just like a regular business, like doing people's taxes or something like that. It's a business that has a very sensitive product that cannot be left alone. So, and it's very intricate and detailed and requires planning to be able to go. And my friend was ready to go, but his family said, please, please don't go yet. Please wait. Things are getting better. Things are looking up. It's going to stress me out if I know that you're worried about trying to cover all your bases at home just to come down here. Just wait. And so my friend waited, and now my friend is devastated. He said he will never, ever do that again. He'll never allow that to happen again. And his grief is so concentrated. It is concentrated. It's multiplied exponentially because not only does he have the terrible grief of losing his dad, but he also feels like he could have done more. He should have done more. He regrets his decisions, But the thing is, what I wanted to talk to you about today, the reason why I told you those things is what I really wanted to talk to you about today is twofold, but I'm only going to talk about one today. I'll talk about forgiveness. And when I say forgiveness, I also mean forgiving yourself, because that's so important. I'll talk more about the other things I've talked about later, but what I really mostly want to focus on today is to tell people that you love them when you have a chance to do so. Tell people that you love them. I have yet a third friend who also this past week has lost a dear, dear friend. And I think that when talking with this friend, it is truthful that when you're able to tell somebody how much you love them and let them know and spend time with them either in person or over the phone or however it is that you do it, you are comforted when they go unexpectedly. Because the third person I'm talking about, that situation was very, very unexpected, very unexpected. And so when you do spend time with the people that you love and you tell them that you love them, it's easier for you to handle the grief of losing them. So make sure you tell people you love them at every chance that you have. I tell my dad all the time that I love him so much, and I know he probably gets tired of hearing it. I don't know. That's not fair to say that. It feels like he gets tired of hearing it, but I just can never tell him enough. My Grammy, I miss her so much, and I wish that I had spent more time with her, but I wish I had even told her more that I loved her more. But I know she knows that I loved her. And that's the only thing that really made me feel a little bit better about losing her when I did, was because the people around me told me, yes, she knew that you loved her. So tell people that you love them. Take the opportunity to cultivate your relationships. Relationships are the only thing in this whole world that we even have that mean anything at all. Money, job, school, education, whatever your house is, whatever all that is, none of that means anything when it's all said and done. When it comes down to life and death, which everything in this life comes to that. So when it comes down to that, it's the only thing that means anything is your relationships. And if you have not spending time with people, then you are going to have more regrets. And my goal is to give you different perspectives on life so that you can make changes and not feel regrets. Life is so hard as it is. It's so hard. We don't need to make it worse, make it harder, make it more difficult, make it more painful by allowing ourselves to develop reasons to have regrets. So take the time to make phone calls, text people, let them know you're thinking about them, tell them how you feel about them, allow yourself to be vulnerable. If you can't allow yourself to be vulnerable, it's going to be very hard for you to have any kind of a meaningful relationship. Bonds are built with people by building trust and by mutual understandings and being able to relate to them. That's why relationship has the word relate in it. When you can relate to somebody, it's a bond builder. And if you can't talk to people and tell them your feelings and listen to them talk about their feelings, if that kind of stuff makes you uncomfortable, then it's hard for people to understand how to relate to you. Therefore, it's hard to cultivate your relationships. There's really just no other way around that. And so you have to spend time. You have to spend time with people. You have to open up to people. You have to ask people how they're feeling. Try and understand how they're feeling. Try and relate to them through learning how they feel and asking questions about what they're feeling and if they're okay with that, and putting yourself in their shoes. If you are not vulnerable, you're not fully available to other people. I apologize for the chainsaw in the background. But anyways, if you're afraid to be hurt, you're going to stop yourself from being able to feel love. And that's the double-edged sword with love, so to speak, if that's the right way to say it, is that it's going to hurt a lot worse when you lose people you love. It really does. If you hold back your love and you don't allow yourself to feel love and you don't give love, you won't hurt as much. You're exactly right. But your life will be empty. You won't have anything in it that matters. There's no way to get through this life with a sense of fulfillment and a feeling of reward if you don't allow yourself to be vulnerable to others. And when people pass, if you haven't been, then that's when you're going to feel it most. And by then it's too late. You can't go back and change anything. So I hope you will allow yourself to be vulnerable. Work on your relationships. Work on getting close to people. And you get close to people not by going to the movies with them. Yes, having good times with people, laughing, of course, those are important ways to develop a relationship and build a bond. But they're not as strong as when you go through hard times with people. When you fight with people in relationships, like in intimate romantic relationships, when you're fighting with someone, no, it's not great to fight, but getting through the fight and getting to the other side, typically you can't get there by shoving it under the rug. That doesn't feel any better. It doesn't accomplish anything, and the same problem will come up again. So the only way to get something out of a fight with somebody is to learn from it, and that requires oftentimes saying I'm sorry. It usually requires getting your ego in check and putting it down, not letting it to control your emotions, behaviors, actions, and words. Your ego will never allow you to get closer to somebody because that hurts your ego. So you have to step away from your ego. You have to swallow your pride. Someone told me one time that it's a lot easier to eat warm crow than cold crow. I think that's the way you say it. Forgive me if that's wrong. But essentially what it meant was, if you go ahead and deal with something immediately, either say I'm sorry right away, or, just humble yourself right away. It's much easier than to have to go back and do it later. If you have to go back and do it later, maybe you just sweep it under the rug, forget about it, and decide, that's going to be fine. I'm not going to go back and rehash that. I don't want to bring it up again because it hurts and it's embarrassing and it's hard for our egos to handle it. So you eventually may find that you don't have the same relationship that you had before that issue. Well, if you then decide to become humble and do something about it, it's actually a lot harder. So doing it right then and there is the best way to do it. It's just a lot easier to get through it and handle it and deal with it. But we have to put away our egos. Honestly, that's the only way to really truly build meaningful relationships with people. Put away your ego, humble yourself, and be vulnerable. Those things are so important. So please comment if you have anything to say. I would love to hear it. If you want it to remain anonymous, you can email me at themiracleofbeautifulyou@gmail.com. themiracleofbeautifulyou, all spelled out, @gmail.com. And I would love to hear your comments. I would love to comment on your comments if you will say it's okay for me to do so, but while still keeping you anonymous. If you comment on the comment board, and I can use something from it, because part of this video today came from a comment from one of my subscribers, which I'm very grateful for. And she's the one that told me, you better tell people that you love them when they're here, because you never know. And she's exactly right. We don't know. All three of the people that I told you about today all passed suddenly and unexpectedly. And two of the three were very young, and the third was very young at heart and not what I would consider old by any stretch of the imagination. So that's why it's just important to address things, be humble, put away your ego, tell people you love them, make an effort to have a relationship, because it's the only thing in life that matters. And yes, it's uncomfortable, but so what? So what? Being comfortable with being uncomfortable is one of the best lessons I think we can learn in this life. It's something that prepares us more than anything else for bad things to come, that they will come, because this life is hard. So being comfortable with being uncomfortable, and I hate to keep beating this into anybody's head, but I got to give credit again to Global Witness on YouTube. Is where I heard that, and it just makes so much sense, because if you can be comfortable with being uncomfortable, then it's harder for people to take things away from you and guide your behaviors with the fear of losing things. So anyways, thank you so much for listening today. Please like the video, share it, subscribe, send it to people that you think could benefit from it. This was a really long video, and I'm sorry, but it's really important. And 3 different people I know have lost people in the last 10 days. And it just, the older we get, the more it's going to happen. And it's important to think about these things. And the sooner in your life that you can learn how to really have relationships with people that are meaningful, the more meaningful your life will be. And it's just really important. So we'll talk more later on other stuff. Thank you so very much for listening. Take care. You are beautiful, you.